Hello there, welcome to another day in paradise. I don't know if I managed to make this video because I think I'm trying to talk about things that are important for me, and the more something is important, the more difficult it is to express yourself really, and in terms that you feel like you do it justice. So I struggle with that a lot, and that's kind of a part of what I'm trying to talk about. And but I figured that I just have to keep talking, and I have to keep expressing myself and keep trying. And I can always try again. I can always try to make a better video in the future, but I can't wait too long with thoughts to express them, because and thoughts and projects and everything, and because it gets stuck. The only way I can make it better is to fuck it up first, and fuck it up a lot, and then I can work with that. There's no chance that something will just get sorted in my head, and that's something I talked about a lot as well already many years. I'm just like refining the same the same thought process. It's it all expands from the same core of self, of me, so yeah. And so what I was thinking about, there are two things. I suppose one thing is, I was thinking about how is inspired by my own feelings right now, how difficult it is for me to stay calm sometimes in stressful situations. Like suddenly, like I find myself I was gonna say noisy environment, but that's not really true. It's just that there are certain noises, or there's music that my flatmate is playing, and that kind of drives me crazy, and I can't concentrate, and that is a stressful situation that is particular because now we can't go out and kind of let it let this stress, like I'm just going for a walk and I'm thinking about something else, and I relax, and here is I feel like an animal in a cage sometimes, because there's no place for me to go. My voice is shaking, like I'm really emotional about that, but I think it's just my morning coffee. I woke up very late, as always, recently. The whole thing is fucked up, and I just had a coffee, and it's a little cold. It's been very cold in here everywhere, so I don't know. I only have like a little heater, and the only way to make it work is just to like sit next to it. so that's why. But I'm not I'm not that nervous or anything. So I was thinking about that, how much the situation makes the usual problems worse, like anxieties and depression, etc., and how many people will be in quite a difficult position to without even being able to do, like I always say, like I have to walk 10 kilometers minimum to just feel okay, as as my self-care process. Like just walking 10 kilometers is my baseline, and now I can't even do this, so everything becomes a little bit more of a struggle. So I was thinking, okay, there's not much we can do about it. There are things we can do. We can try to, work out, or, just pay even more attention to the diet, or we can meditate because we have more time, etc. But in the situation, every step, each of these steps comes even more with a struggle. It's even more difficult to do all these simple things that we are supposed to do to feel okay. Just like to live a hygienic life, mentally. So I was thinking, okay, well, that kind of sucks, but still, maybe this is a moment of like our ultimate trial, and to be really we have to face our demons because we have nothing. There is no other way. There's nothing that we can do to just ease the situation. Maybe that's a little bit dramatic, but it is really a moment of this confrontation. So I thought, okay, we really have to look into that, because otherwise I imagine a lot of people will be in much struggle in these hard times. And I know it sucks, but maybe it's the time to face our demons and really deeply look into, kind of go through this inner burning and just like really fight the last boss. And because I see a lot of things in terms of fight. I'm a very aggressive person. So once upon a time I had my psychotherapist, if I might say so. Yeah, I think. And he asked me, Alexandra, why do you see everything in terms of war? And why everything is a war for you, or something like that. And I thought, wow, this is very accurate. I always saw myself as a warrior in a way. So I definitely, I thought that was a very good observation. He was a good therapist. Like I saw quite a few, and most of them suck. They're terrible, and I think like, wow, these guys do more damage than good, or at least they probably need some help themselves most of the time. I mean, not that it's not the case in general with everyone. Everyone needs a bit of constructive feedback, and a dialogue and a work, inner work. It's just it's just good for everyone. But you know what I mean. It's just like you look at these people and think like, I'm not sure if you can help me. But let's talk about your problems. Let's talk about your mother. So anyway, so now there is this time of war, and of course, and that kind of led me to thinking that, as I always wanted to touch on some psychological and magical subjects. Maybe that's a good moment to share some insights and things that I've learned over the years, because there is no really other reason somebody would want to listen to me, or I don't have any authority in the field or anything like that. I only have my experience, and this is what I do. I do me. And I thought I could share a lot of that, because I've been through quite a lot of strange, painful, traumatic, abusive events in my life, and I had to find ways to process things, and I've always been interested in my inner life, in psychology, and in inner life of humans, and meaning of things. So this is also where of course magic and psychology overlap, and I always had this sort of, like, I don't remember not having it, like a meta voice in my head, which wouldn't necessarily be a voice in a literal sense, but there was always like a distance, like there was always a moment in which I could observe what is happening within me. So there was this another layer, and I think there are even like 2 layers of that more than I kind of that I can work with, and I always found it very interesting, and I always thought whether whether other people also have that. And of course, I have a brother, an older brother, and we always used to. He influenced me enormously, and he was always very close to me. We were always very close, and he was also very, very interested in psychology and magic at some point. And he taught me a lot, So of course I was influenced by him, but I think it was also just a natural tendency, natural drive that I had in me. Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah, I definitely was curious, and I wanted to know things. So we were a nice, a nice pair. we were always talking about mysteries and things. But I can talk. I don't know if I talked about my brother already or not. We don't talk much anymore, unfortunately. But he's been always a very important figure for me. And so we tend to have these long conversations, analyzing the situation in our house, and things that were happening in family, and we were always kind of looking at things from a certain distance. So that was just like a natural way for me, and then I was, I just had my own path and things that I was more interested in, and I went through different phases of getting to know self and getting to know how human work and how everything works. I still don't know, but I went through a lot of phases. So like all sorts of like new age and self-help and magic and psychology and like a popular pop psychology and just I had my hands in different baskets. Is that how you say it? No, I don't know. I think that went terribly wrong. That's something else. So anyway, I was interested in a lot of different things. So, and of course with my own experience that is just, unique to every person, and I can only share what I've lived through without claiming, without a pretension to any authority here whatsoever. But I think it's important. I always found it important to share experiences. Like there is no need for me, I don't know. I just feel like it's a duty. Like you have to. That's what it's for. I experience things, so somebody else perhaps don't have to live through the same pattern. That's how we learn. And there is this thing that I had, this little voice. There are different voices from people I've met through life, or who said something that stayed with me, and then they kind of emerge in different moments. Mostly my mother. So I had to, thinking about, okay, I'm gonna have to tell you my story, as I do. But I'm also gonna have to talk about quite difficult and intimate situations. Then of course there's this whole thing like, okay, how much can I say without being, because it's unfair for me to talk just about my side of the story, and but that's all I can do. I can only tell my side of the story. So I'm sure that if somebody else, who's been involved showed up, maybe they could see things differently, and it would be unjust to just, to pretend that my version is the only correct one. But that's all I can do. I would never be here to kind of shit talk someone, or to blame someone, or to, well, I don't know. I'm just trying the best I can. I probably will at some point, do injustice because I'm just a human, but I'm trying my best, and I just want to know that the intention is never to just the intention is to learn, and the intention is to share and perhaps transform certain experiences, and not to throw hate at someone, or label someone or this or that. And I also have no right to what's the word, to diagnose anyone with anything. So for example, I talk a lot about narcissists. I mean, I talk in my life. I had a lot of experience with narcissists, and it's not really my job to diagnose that somebody was a psychopath or sociopath or this or that. I don't have But I have a little bit of knowledge about that, a little bit of experience, and and there are certain things that make me believe that would be a correct conclusion. But only to certain level. I can obviously be completely wrong about things, but I analyze my environment and everything. So anyway, talking about intimate experiences and personal experiences. So I had this little voice telling me that, perhaps I'm oversharing, because a lot of people accuse me in my life of oversharing, and in different contexts. Sometimes it would be like, well, you show too much, and I don't know whether that's because I was a model and I was showing my body, and that was obviously like, I don't know, not leaving enough for imagination or something like that, which I don't really think it was, because to be fair, in my artistic days I really wasn't showing that much, and I don't think that's a thing. I just don't think that's a thing that that people would not be interested because I was too naked or too personal. I think that was also another thing, that basically I talked too much about. So that was from like a marketing point of view, that maybe I talk too much about myself, and I'm actually a human being behind. So that maybe ruins a fantasy of people, and I think fantasies are doing all right. I think people still have some fucked up ideas about who I am, no matter how much I say there's nothing I can do about it. So, and I don't think that changes anything about my pictures, admiring, not admiring. I don't really care that much, it was never. That's another thing. I think that's another video there, because that was one of the important things I wanted to talk about. So but I see it's going already for a moment, I ramble, so maybe it's gonna be another video. So that was from like a marketing point of view, and then there was the argument that I just, and that was even in private life, that I'm like an open book, and I talk about, I'm very open, and I'm direct, and that may make some people, I don't know, either uncomfortable, or also that people could, use this against me. So I should, like hide and not be so open. And so I know that there is a certain level of truth, like where at some point I would just like tell a story of my life to just anyone who would listen, if that was a guy in a bar, or, just anyone, like, hey, you want to listen? Great, let me tell you the story. I sometimes still catch myself doing that and talking for a long time, so no, that's my solution, right? That's my therapy. Oh, very cold. So, I think it's bollocks. I do not agree with that. I mean, of course, except from the moments when I realized that I just kind of spent my energy and time entertaining someone who didn't really give a shit about that. And so this is, I understand, I have to be careful not to spill my energy. But in terms of somebody using things against me, well, first of all, if somebody's intimidated or overwhelmed by me being me, then guess whose problem is that? But I just, I can't, there are certain things that I am, and if somebody is overwhelmed by that, it's well, can't really do anything about that. So so there is that, and then there's another side of people using things against me. So of course I'm not going to I don't know, give people my bank details or keys to my house. That doesn't exist. But these are the obvious things where you have to have real trust, and but other than that, I don't really think anyone can hurt me by knowing things about me. not at this point. Knowing things about me. It's just like you know stuff about me. You don't know me. And of course, like if somebody's like really vicious and really so evil in a sophisticated way and is set up to fuck me up psychologically, which isn't impossible because I'm just like a fucking narc magnet. But it's not. It's going to like. They will. First of all, now I'm much better in detecting that. So yeah, I think there's. But if somebody's really, really, a master manipulator, then it's not really proportional to the things I say about me. It doesn't come from that. So I think letting people close isn't determined by how many facts they know about me, and that's not how I'm also giving people in my life importance in my life, or you can know everything about me and not really be close to me or be capable of hurting me, because for someone to hurt you, they have to matter, they have to be close, and not everybody matters. And I start since for a while I have a better detector of because it's not they're like, for example, narcissists, they're not they're once you have some baggage, some experience, you just know what you're dealing with much quicker than at the beginning. So it's not my first rodeo. So but it's always a process. But I think that none of these arguments it couldn't shut me up. I just have to keep talking. So that's not gonna work. So that's why I was thinking, like, okay, I might have to start talking about uncomfortable things, personal things, and narcissists and abuse and all that jazz, because maybe it's the time for us to clean all that shit up. There we go. I've been talking for far too long. I might even make 2 videos out of it, because who's gonna sit for 20 minutes right now for me rambling? Who knows? God knows also what I have there behind me in the background, some kind of apocalyptic mess. I hope nothing embarrassing this time. So yeah, I'll see you around. See you next time. Take care.